We've all been in a situation in which either by choice or out of necessity, we've needed GameStop for something or another. But in recent years, those GameStop trips that have happened out of necessity, well, they've been happening more and more infrequently. Physical media is dying, and with everything becoming nearly immediately accessible, even physical video games can be delivered to your front door in many cases as quickly as the very next day. Over the years, GameStop has undergone some major revisions in an effort to compete in an increasingly crowded space. But a few changes in the market have left a nostalgic niche that, if committed to, could become GameStop's salvation. Welcome everyone. Welcome back to LegalSpeak, a ColdNorth production. I'm the Law Morris, and this is the video essay series in which I get to talk about the games I've been playing and what I think of the medium as a whole. Now, as GameStop locations keep closing and the future of the company looks more dire every day, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about a way that I think they could right the ship before sinking it all together. So let's talk about GameStop. Now, before we get into this, I do want to make it very clear that I have never worked for GameStop. I don't have any insider information about their financials, and what I will be discussing in this video is based off anecdotal stories from other YouTubers and friends who have worked for the company. While I don't have any financial reports, what I do have is a degree in economics with an emphasis in industrial organization. So this isn't baseless speculation, it's educated speculation. GameStop has a laundry list of problems. Way too many problems to address in one video. So for this video, I'll be focusing on a handful of their biggest problems and how those things can be overcome. At the top of that list is image. GameStop has a major image problem. People don't like GameStop, and it feels like every time they get the opportunity to prove to their customers that they're a corporation that can and should be supported, it seems as though GameStop actively tries to make the situation worse. Shopping at GameStop has become widely recognized as a ripoff that should really only be resorted to in the most desperate of circumstances. The company is constantly just fucking over their customers and has nothing in place to create a sense of customer loyalty. Their sales policies are maliciously vague and predatory, and in some cases, they're even hypocritical. One of the last times I shopped at GameStop was when I went to buy a copy of Prey 2017. The clerk told me they had one new copy left, but she wasn't able to find it. After asking a supervisor, she was informed that the last new copy they had was the shelf model. The clerk then went to the shelf, pulled down the box, took the disc out of the drawer, and put it in the case. I asked why this was considered a new copy of the game, and I was told that, well, it had never been played. When I pointed out that while it may have not been played, it had been opened, and if the roles were reversed and I was trying to sell them an opened game that had never been played, it would be considered new. Well, what the clerk told me was that this was a matter of company policy and there really wasn't anything she could do about it. I wasn't mad at her at all, and I'm under no impression that this was somehow her policy. She was just an employee put in a bad situation by a company she worked for. A company that apparently really didn't care about openly holding their customers to a different standard than themselves. And the second most prevalent issue currently facing GameStop, from my perspective, is radical mismanagement. The corporate management has created terrible working conditions for their in-store employees. There are stories all over the internet of employees not getting paid for overtime, being offered what are frankly disrespectful raises after working for the company for years, and even being terminated for not adhering to policies when the equipment provided, like time clocks and security systems, is what's preventing them from adhering to those policies. GameStop has spread themselves too thin, opening up way too many stores. I can think of multiple places where there are at least 3 GameStop stores, all within reasonable walking distance from one another, Stores so close to each other that if one store doesn't have what I want, I have literally just walked to another GameStop and bought it there. And finally, management hasn't been able to focus on what they want to sell. GameStop has become more of a storefront for ThinkGeek type garbage than it is really a store that sells video games. But a few things have changed in recent years that have created what I see as an opportunity for the company. Game collecting has always been a thing, but in the past couple years, as we hurtle toward the inevitable all-digital future, game collecting has become a much more popular and financially viable hobby. People collect all sorts of different games for many different reasons. Retro game collecting offers a unique collection and the potential for better resale value, and modern games and consoles offer both current players and collectors the opportunity to keep their collections current. But that's where GameStop should really draw the line. Provide a place for customers to collect retro and modern games and consoles, but all the merchandising and cheap crap just needs to be completely done away with. In the 90s, Blockbuster was a force to be reckoned with. In the aughts, Blockbuster was still a giant, but having to compete with new players and new technologies in the market. In the early teens, Blockbuster was circling the drain. And now, in the early 20s, the total number of Blockbuster locations has been reduced from their all-time high of
over 9,000
to just one. Many factors contributed to the downfall of the once household name, the chief amongst them being streaming and renting. Simply put, renting physical media is stupid, and the introduction and improvement of streaming technologies made that convenience factor too much to overcome. But one thing Blockbuster did right, all the way up until the end, was the experience. The experience of browsing all the movies, both new and old, and discussing what to watch with your friends, your family, and in many cases, just other people in the store. Well, that's one that streaming services, they still haven't been able to replicate. Now, a lot needs to change for GameStop to be a viable business again. And change won't happen overnight, and trust can't be immediately regained. But if GameStop Corporate can commit to a focused vision for their future, then over time, they can carve out a place for themselves and become a mainstay in the video game industry once again. First and foremost, GameStop needs to be exactly that, a place to stop for games. They need to focus on selling video games and video game consoles of all eras. When I went to Blockbuster on Friday nights, as a kid, my friends and I would look at everything there was available. We would discuss the kinds of games we liked and what we didn't like. Then we would choose a game we all wanted to play, and we would try to scrape together $5 to rent it. When I need to buy an older game for my collection today, it usually involves taking a risk on spending what is sometimes not an insignificant amount of money online. And all without being able to check it myself for the quality that's really so important in collecting. GameStop can offer a solution to both of these things. By focusing on games and offering games of every era in every store, they could build a reputation as a place that can reliably offer high-quality, retro games that can be seen and held before purchasing. By focusing on games, the company can have shelves and shelves full of games, and not just ThinkGeek bullshit to recreate that browsing experience for future generations to have. By focusing on games, GameStop can change what they do, and they can be relevant again. And their policies need to be updated as well. GameStop needs to offer more pro-consumer policies that will build customer loyalty. It's become a meme that GameStop offers some of the worst trade-in values of any industry, in some cases offering as little as $17 for a game that has just come out and is currently selling new for $60, then putting that used copy back on the shelf for $55. GameStop needs customers to keep coming back to sell their games, and preventing those customers from feeling taken advantage of as they leave the store after having sold some games will lead to those customers coming back more often. Customer loyalty is a point that I keep harping on in this video, and that's only because of how insanely important it is. Customer rewards programs are commonplace in almost every industry. Some of those programs charge a premium, and GameStop's Power Up Rewards is one of those. But for what it offers, the Power Up Rewards program, it's a complete joke. GameStop needs to completely cut their Power Up Rewards program and replace it with a free loyalty program in which customers earn rewards points towards discounts. GameStop is in a place in which they need to give their customers something for nothing, and a rewards program is an excellent way to do that. And while building that customer loyalty, GameStop needs to work to repair their image and their moral compass, and that all starts with how they treat their employees. The company is notorious for their pressuring their representatives to push their programs and used games. GameStop, just look at me right now. Give me your full attention because you need to hear this. Stop doing that. Stop pressuring your employees to sell your customers the wrong product because that's what's more profitable right now. Coach your employees to offer those things or even pitch those things. But stop making your employees feel as though they're being held at gunpoint to sign X amount of people up for the Power Up Rewards program every shift. Think about the kinds of people that work in the stores. By and large, they're almost all just people who love video games and want to work around video games. And GameStop's employees are really their greatest asset, as those people are the ones that mold the customer experience. Those people need to be paid more. A happy worker is a busy worker, and paying people more makes people happier. And finally, just close all the small stores and open a fewer medium blockbuster-sized stores. But I'm fully aware of how insanely expensive that is, so just make that a long-term goal. Oh, Christ. I mean, I feel like this turned into a massive rant that was in way longer than I meant it to be. I don't really know how to end this video besides just saying thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Do you think GameStop can turn it around? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, just make sure you hit that subscribe button for a new video every week. And you can check out everything we do all in one spot, and that does include both of our podcasts over at ColdNorthPro.com. I'll be back next week talking about something else entirely, so until then, just go play some games.